No, I think we're early enough. I think we're early enough to where. No, I think we're early. Hey, how's it going? It's Matt tomorrow here. Waiting on the Nagone 11 come out here. So hold on a second. Like the video, I'm coming in. There's a lot of people streams going on. So Nagone, what's going on, man? Your camera's on.
Can you hear me?
I can. Hold on a second.
Position of White House Chief of Staff is nearly impossible to fully describe. The complexities and range of responsibilities are greater than in any other job in Washington. The pressure is
And Nagone, you got TV on the background.
Turn it off. Let me know when you're ready to rock.
Yeah, I'm ready to rock. All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming to the show. It's gonna be the series that I'm gonna be doing called Minds of the Manosphere, and my first guest is gonna be the Honorable Nagone 11. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? What's going down, brother?
Chilling out, man. You know, we want to go over the history of you being in the space and see where you want to see where things going and the status of progress. And I got some questions for you because I wanted to ask most members of the space this question along the lines of leadership. And you think it's a failure of leadership, or it's a failure of inaction, or a mixture of both? No, we'll get into that way later on. So this isn't about nothing that's going on within the space or nothing like that. This is just gonna go the Nagone 11 that you see on the panels and all that kind of stuff, man. So welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming through.
Hey, thanks, man.
So,
Glad to be with you. Go ahead.
All right. So how long you been in this space? Like officially been in this space?
I don't know, man. I've been rolling through here, man. I mean, I'm just taking a look at just Manosphere from Manosphere 1.0 to now. I would say, wow, since 2009, 2010, around there, just dipping around. But really, kind of how things are rolling right now here. I really kind of, really started really kind of active, like with like Obsidian and these guys back around 2015. Kind of, getting on these blog talk radio calls and all that kind of stuff, and I, getting a lot more active then. So I would say back at least from 2015 or so and up to now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. So, nice. So even like back then to now, like what kind of major changes you've seen? Like, I mean, other than the technology and the medium to which we talk, like what do you see like the major changes that started like when you first logged in and got online? Like, how did you came into these type of topics online? I guess that's the best question.
We saw just a lot of, once we started doing, once I started getting on blog talk radio and started getting involved with that, a lot of subject matter started to come up then that I thought was kind of interesting, and it really kind of revolved a lot more around men's rights, kind of with stuff that was involved really with with black male interests, and that's really what kind of kind of got me into it. But that's what we were really getting into heavily, and then that's the kind of stuff that we were talking about. Everything from dating to some degree, but not much, but really issues about man, the economic aspect about it, child support, and all of the, let's say, political and economic issues that kind of flow around a lot of this stuff. It was it was a lot of things, but that I thought was very good. Certainly at the time, really into development, education, and all that. There were a lot of good things. I thought that was really starting from there. And a lot of good information that brothers were bringing into that space. I think at the time that really were opening a lot of eyes. And yeah, it was starting to scare some people. You started to see others on the other side. You started seeing some of the women and the women activists and so forth getting upset about a lot of the conversations that we were having.
Oh yeah. So when I first rolled through here, it's probably about, I don't know, maybe 2013, 14 maybe, before I started like getting on panels and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was pretty revolutionary for black men to be engaging online and giving their opinions about the things that were actually going on in society without having this huge kind of filter on it.
Yeah.
If you ever call in the talk radio, you say one thing out of line, they want to get your ass off the line. They don't even want you to talk or even have your opinion be out there. They want their opinion to be the opinion, and what you what you say they don't even want to hear for the most part. So I thought it was pretty revolutionary for people to be engaging and the kind of discourse online because we really wasn't represented anywhere on the actual AM or the FM dial for that matter, and pretty much our opinion was kind of you would have to listen to like Bill Burr or like most of the black comics would even come anywhere close to be able to discussing the actual issues that would be going on with black people, let alone black men at all. Kind of the entertainment platform was kind of the only way you could kind of push that in without having it be a separate issue all by itself. So
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right about that. The discussions we were having, we definitely weren't having. I mean, you saw, I bring up like Oprah. Oprah, you see him on TV, and you see Ricky Lake and those people back in the day, and they'd be on there, and Sally, Jesse, Raphael, and they'd have all these women on here going into brothers and Ted brothers out the frame, left, right, and center, and you just saw this go on. You just saw this go on for years. And what I liked about what I saw, especially from the first iteration of the first brothers that were really coming through, that were dropping incredible fire. And then, we saw the next kind of iteration of how things went, where people kind of, were able to get online a little bit more, and you could see people engage a little bit more with the live streams and so forth. But really, kind of with the whole Blog Talk Radio thing, you didn't really hear a lot of that. You saw people going in, but you saw brothers, having an answer to that. Brothers were responding to this. In that medium, they were response. The responses were sharp. Many were very brilliant, nuanced, well researched, extraordinarily factual, with great information. And you didn't hear a lot of that. And they were really coming in and hitting it hard. And as it started to gain more traction, you started to see a lot more detractors start to come in. And that's when I knew that this stuff was really going somewhere, because not so much of the people who were even liking it, but looking at the people who didn't like it. That was very important. And you saw who a lot of the key detractors were. Some certainly were men who were coming in. They would be those who call them hyenas today and so forth. But you saw many women as well. So you saw us expressing how we really thought, what we really how we saw things. We spoke about it intelligently, with a lot of critical information to back it up. And it was great to see that. It was great to see that, and it was setting a whole new tone, man. It was setting things on fire. To where people were starting to respond to it in the greater medium. So it started to fill out on somewhat of CNN, and you started to see some of the stuff start to come out and trying to counter you in Essence Magazine and a lot of other places. You started to see some of the other mediums start to get their start to try to sink their teeth into this thing, to try to really grab a hold of it. And yeah, I mean, they were looking to control the narrative to a large extent, because this was a narrative that we were able to take a hold of and control ourselves. So the name of the game was have others come in, hijack it if they could, and control the narrative, because the narrative that we were putting out there was just too it was too hard hitting, too real, and it was something that they were not prepared for. We sat back for decades and took a lot of incoming, and there was no real serious counter to that. And this meeting was a great counter to that. It was, and it had to evolve. It had to arrive, and it did.
yeah, I mean, but they would have to think that they wouldn't be able to hold this amount of power or even control, for that matter, forever. No, there was going to be a point to where this stuff was going to flip and it was going to turn, right? Like it just couldn't be this ridiculous to think that they was just going to be running this type of game on people forever. Did they?
No, I don't think so. No,
I,
no.
yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Like any type of abuse is going to have a backlash eventually. no matter what it is.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that was a problem. And you saw many people who had, I would consider, somewhat high position in in the in the mass media world start to look into this area and say, oh, it's like, what's going on here? And they didn't want to mention a lot of it. They wanted to keep it quiet, but it was really hitting hard. And a lot of people they started to take notice, and they didn't want to actually shout you out or give you a lot of call out, because they know that would bring a lot more eyes to you. So they did keep it quiet, but they watched very closely.
Yeah.
But then you looked in certain mediums, and you saw where some people were beginning to have some some violent reactions to what was going on, what was being said, and hence you started to see later on, as this began to increase, a gender war started to really come out of that as well. And not that I don't think anyone was really looking so much for a gender war. It was really more putting more information into black men's minds and hands to really look at and critique. And then you had others coming in trying to disassociate yourself from that, or try to take you from that. And many were men, and we kept seeing them come in here well into many were men coming in and were trying to flip this thing around, which was kind of surprising as well. You thought brothers would be kind of down with you, but you really saw where a lot of these guys were coming from. But yeah, many were men, but and many women, but they were people who were afraid. They were afraid to change the narrative was starting to change, and we were starting to take control of that. That was problematic. The voice of black men, to a large extent, was something that was not to be heard. You were not to be heard. And this medium started to really speak loud, and it caused a great degree of fear.
Yeah. Because now, if you look at it now, there's so many things that used to be taboo in Black American society that people just used to go along with. I think we've done a good job of just knocking all that nonsense down for the most part. And those things don't have nowhere near the type of power that it used to have. Like, for instance, like your mama black, it used to disarm every single critical thinking based conversation. Now people look at it as laughable whenever a person says that. Like, this is how far we've come. Is that we're actually having real dialogue and debate, and figuring out that most of these people who are hiding behind most of this stuff to just say to black men, for instance, they never really cared about anything else but the words that they were saying. They really didn't care about the environment or anything else. They just wanted to keep the status quo going. And a lot of men like things the way it is, unfortunately, because they see their position and their man card being challenged by us actually even talking about this stuff.
Well, yeah, a lot like the way things are, because they get a lot from it. I mean, if you don't advance, or if you don't, improve in many respects, or you don't advance, or you don't put a lot of this information out there, then things are status quo. They can still ride off of the dysfunction and profiteer from it, and keep things exactly at the level that it is, and then you don't have to worry about it. It's like, oh man, things are still the same. They can talk all kind of craziness and keep getting over, and there's nobody to challenge it. There's nobody really to challenge it, so it goes unchallenged. And that's how they liked it, and to keep it dysfunctional, and on the level that they used to keep it on. Yeah, there were those who definitely were able to take advantage of that. And when you started to put that on blast and started to challenge some of that, they were that could adversely affect them. So yeah, it was within their interest. Their interest to try to stop that as well, as well as others. So yeah, we saw we saw an awful lot of that.
Yeah, because what I'm thinking at this point, that these outcomes cannot clearly be quantified. These outcomes are horrific, and somebody's going to have to answer for this stuff. And I just don't see how being silent about and to these specific issues was ever going to make anything better. I just don't see how it was. You know?
No, 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 it really wasn't. I remember back in 2006, Janks Morton made a movie. We showed it on the Black Brain Trust called "What Black Men Think." We played that. We played that for a few months back, and that was back, kind of before the internet really was jumping and popping. Yeah, the internet, of course, was around and all that, but social media was just kind of really getting engaged, and it wasn't really at the level, and YouTube and all sorts wasn't at the level. Well, I think YouTube started in 2007. I forget what year YouTube started, but 2006. When he made this film, let's put it like the social media game wasn't at the level that it is now. But said what black men think, and he, Janks Morton, I consider him a very much an original Manospherian in so many ways. He jumped out there and expressed exactly, you know, um, what black men were thinking, and what our real position was, and what we really did look like, as opposed to the narratives that were being painted, as to how others were shaping our image. And I considered it very groundbreaking. And there were those who would say there were a lot of conservatives on there, and others, and yeah, they were, but they were talking real deals as to what was going on in our community and what we were really about, more so, and it was very eye opening, and it shattered some myths. Many myths were shattered, and things started to, I felt, started to really grow out from there. And then when you asked Janks, well, Janks, well, why did you make the film? It had to be made. This documentary was made because it had to be made, and it went into a lot of detail of, the down low brother, and the bullshit with that, and what what was your education really about? What was your crime rates really about? What was really killing you more so than anything else? Black men, what did you really earn, as opposed to what to what others were saying you really earned, and so forth. So it shattered a lot of crapola, and we put the record straight, and we've been on that kind of tip since then. And they've been many who've come in who've tried to sidetrack that message, from a lot of the gangsters and others to other people with rather suspect motivations. But yes, you know that. Of course, black women are going to come and try to fight a lot of that, because it was within their interest to do that, from their perspective. Not that it's really within their interest, but from their perspective, and then we fought back against that as well. So a lot of great information came about in the Manosphere. Was something I believe that came about because it had to come about. It had to come about.
Yeah. So another thing I liked about the space that pretty much tipped off everybody is that, hey, black men have always been putting their work out here, for real.
Yeah.
Like, not really all that much appreciated for doing so within the culture, but black men have always been on top of their stuff when it came to certain things. It's just that the reward mechanism was just not for those guys. And now that because we all knew that because we're within the culture. But if you have people who are not representing us, not all that well, outside of us not having a voice for for an extreme amount of time, yeah,
Well, that's an absolute fact. If by the narrative that was painted,
yeah,
you were the narrative that was painted for you, you were some lurking criminal, down low, quasi homosexual, crazed, non-working, drug addled, jailed, birded, socially suspect, you know, um, creature, where the rare unicorn black man was out there doing okay, but everything else was pretty screwed up. And That was kind of the image that they tried to paint of you, and many of us have bought into that. Many Black men, unfortunately, have bought into that as well. But when the real facts started to be told about who you were, they were quite the opposite. Instead of a baby making, non-taken care of, dad and all this kind of stuff, all of these myths were blown away. That was absolutely not true. In fact, the true picture was quite the opposite. Of which we see, but there were many out here who were pushing a far different narrative to that. And, and the bashing of you, of who you were, what you represented and so forth was there for a specific reason. And as you began to elucidate upon that a lot more, you saw what a lot of those reasons were. And as pernicious and as negative as it was, a lot of it was based on just not the social game of keeping you down, but there was a large economic aspect to that as well. And that had to be elucidated as well. You had to shed light upon that and bring it out, like a nasty germ-ridden, surface. You had to put the sunlight on it, and then cleanse some of that effery away, so you could really take a look at what was really going on. And that's what I think many people were very upset about, was challenging their negative image against the image that you really were, and fighting against that. We know that the Black man is a working class, hardworking individual, who saves more than most Americans, who works hard, who takes care of his family, takes care of his children, and is quite productive, a very productive member of the society, but yet has been castigated and has been targeted. And that's what we've been shedding light upon as well. And we see that on a regular, consistent basis as it still goes down. And that's an image that we're still fighting with today politically. We can get into that a little bit later, because that's something that we need to talk about as well. But from a political perspective and the kind of game that we need to be involved with there. But this is all very, very key stuff. And we've seen a lot of people who are out here were talking lies and profiteering off of lies. And much of it was based, many of them who were out there were inundated with self-hatred and savagery. And I felt some of these people need not walk amongst us.
Yeah, but what I think about that is, not only is it purposeful that they're doing that, it's actually a well incentivized program, because they want to make it look like they had to do this because there was not a boardroom pookie who had $1 million and a 850 credit score to be there for them. So they had to do all their stuff until their quote unquote type of guy that they wanted showed up. But you see what they were dealing with the entire time. And hey, the track record isn't going to lie there. It's especially in an environment where you have infinite choice. You're going to have a standard deviation of what you actually deal with on some certain level that everybody is going to notice after a while, regardless of what you say and regardless of what they depend on for no one to have a voice. Somebody is going to know. Because we can be able to see it 24 hours a day. But it's just that I was shocked about how normal it was for most people to have the exact same talking points no matter where you were in the country. That's what I was shocked about. Everybody had the same talking points about how to shut the conversation down. Everybody had the same stuff. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, because sociologically, in this society, these talking points really came about because of the social energy that was pushed very much against you in your community. Was unified. It was a unified message against you. Very much a unified message. We deal with that to this very day. We deal with that now. You deal with that now, and that message is consistently pushed against you out here. So yeah, so those, and they will generate into the same talking points on a regular and consistent basis. You'll have others who will buy into it and try to be examples of these talking points as well, and which who are really more in the minority and certainly not in the majority, but then that will of course will be used to paint you generally overall. And this is how everyone is, and that's generally how this manosphere really kind of came about, and in many respects, Black YouTube and a lot of these other Black mediums that have come out here to speak out against this stuff was to shed light, was to put some information on this, shed light on it. Now things are going to change and morph, and you're going to have the entertainment aspects and all that kind of stuff that's going to go on, but still, there's aspects that are there that are designed for those who want to move with social action, or move with some level of change in their local communities, which can move its way up. So there's got to be something out there for everyone. So that's why I'm not going to cascade and say, well, things should be this way, because hey, there's going to be entertainment. There's going to be some of these other things that are going to come out here, and that's just a part of the space as well. But we should also be developing an aspect of the space that is going to be quite functional, um, and be able to express itself in society. In some very positive ways where we can become the beneficiaries of that as well.
Yeah, because I still see the trajectory as still overall positive. I've always said there need to be more voices within the space because it just can't be 5 or 6 or 10 or 15 people who are just doing this thing. I think that everybody's their own island and country. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why not show what black men are doing? Like, first there was, well, when I came here, there was, the people who came before 1.0, and there was 2.0. And then, like, you had the third wave and 3.0 with all type of professionals who actually
Yeah,
do real stuff outside of full-time YouTube. I really like that because it put black men kind of in a better light to show that you can still do this thing and still go back and do your regular life outside of it.
yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I saw in 1.0 you had some very sharp guys in there, strong researchers and so forth. Like I said, Janks Morton for one, who I'll put out there. I always loved the Thug Titian, who was a very well educated individual, and got very heavily involved in social. In the social aspect of men's rights and so forth, and political organizing and so forth. And you've had other brothers who've been in this, Dr. Tommy Curry and others who that we know who've been around for a while. Expressing this stuff. They've come to light certainly later on, but these are not newcomers to the game. You've had a lot of people out here who've been banging this drum and banging this gong a long time with excellent writings, wonderful books, and so forth. That a lot of people weren't really aware of, and these spaces have helped them to get even more more exposure, more traction, because the general society is going to try to keep that down. They're going to try to keep that information away, and I think that's where this has certainly been very, very positive in that regard. We certainly need more and more of it, and just got to continue to push the envelope. That's why I do think a lot of these conversations we may get heated with let's say the conservative and the liberal game and all this. We can throw all this out here, but as long as good information is being passed around, where people can look at certain things and look at certain facts that are going on. One of the things I'd like to see more about the space is, if you're going to get involved with a lot of stuff, you're going to talk supposedly knowledgeably about certain areas of the Black experience or Black development, or just our culture. We should be factual about a lot of stuff that we do talk about. We should have good information and put that out there, because it's always good to have good information. That doesn't mean that because you have good information all the time, you're super correct about everything, because there's always somebody who may have a differing, opposing view based on some very good information as well, and you can have good dialogue that way as well, and come to certain kind of meeting of the minds there, and others who might listen to this may get a lot from it, and I think those are always good. Good interaction, good conversations, regardless whether or not folks get a little heated here or heated there. All the information is good, and people are talking about advancing the dialogue. I think that's what's going on, and so a lot of people haven't liked it. People haven't liked this kind of conversation. They haven't liked it because it's debunking a lot of the crap that folks are trying to sell and pass off as all good. We just ain't buying. A lot of brothers are not going for it, and the more information, the better information, the better the people that are coming out and are talking about the stuff and elucidating upon a lot of this stuff. I think the wiser some of us will become. I'm just looking at this election, for example, just take a quick example. People saying, "Oh, the stealing and all this stuff," and then you start to get into the facts of what are the procedures, what are the processes, how this stuff works, how is this stuff really going on? How, what is the significance of the electoral college? How are votes really really tabulated? How are they looked at? How are they evaluated? Now you're starting to get into the electoral process and the elective process, and you're starting to pick up a lot of good information about how your cultural society works. You're starting to become a much more wise. Then you start to look at these how would I say, these conspiracy theories, and then they start getting debunked, and you start looking at the legal proceedings that are going on behind them, and people can all of a sudden now, for where you came in kind of maybe ignorant, but now people are talking about this stuff. Now you're becoming more wise as to what's actually happening, and I think that makes you a better citizen. It just makes you a better citizen. Then we start talking about the power principle, and what what do you really need if you really want to have things go better for yourself? If you're an interest group, let's say Black men, how are you going to go about being really more effective about getting what your interests out a lot more? Now you're starting to see this really's got to be more of a grassroots political game, and we really got to get involved locally, and we got to start doing X, Y, and Z in order to really start to move. And you start to see where the real work comes in. Most are not going to do it, but some are, and now you see exactly what it's going to take to really deal with social change, as opposed to talking and about it and goofing about it and screaming about it. You start to see what's really going on. So there's certain things that are really starting to really elucidate as to how things are working. I'm seeing that process going on right now. And there are those who were ignorant about things. Now they're learning more. Now they're starting to pick up more information, and people are having these conversations, and some who were political novices are now starting to learn a little bit more, just because of the conversations we're having here in the Manosphere over this. I think that's good. That's good, man. That's good, because there's a lot of ignorance, but now people are becoming less ignorant. They're becoming more knowledgeable, and they're getting away from some of this conspiracy stuff, and they're starting to look at the hardcore aspects of what's really going on, how this is really done, and there's maturity happening. So I think all this is good. I think all this is good. I think that Manosphere has been successful, and certainly in that regard. And there's so many other areas that it has been. But just take a look at that right now. I mean, we hear some crazy stuff people are talking, but then you start hearing people talking sense, and then people starting to do the research. People starting to look at things, and and that's where knowledge comes about. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, because if you have the ability to speak, you should want to be able to speak right and properly about it. Like
Yeah,
most of the stuff that people talk about, there's a specific track record and research papers and reputable articles that talk about this stuff. So there's no
that's right.
reason to not know what's going on today. There's
That's
no reason for it. And you have to understand that if you outsource this very vital thing to people heart, you're gonna be in the trick bag forever. This is why we
right.
talk about this stuff, the correct answer and how to go about it. You still
That's
got to
right.
do your own research. I'm
That's
not
right.
gonna sit out here and deliberately lie to nobody. I don't get anything out of that. But I want them to be able to, all right, where did you go to get that? Or what is this based on? It's just like I was talking to somebody online, who's still responding, and he was like, "Oh, Joe Biden, this, that, and another. Why'd you do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, because he has a track record of working to bring back the economy, just like he did after the end of the Bush administration. But since this happened before 2016, the guy's eyes glazed over, and he had no idea what I was talking about. I'm like, dude, people want the economy running by a functional person. The only thing he had to do to win the election was do the stimulus and stay the hell off Twitter and treat the virus like it's something that is serious when 200,000 people died within the country. Over. If he would have done those three things totally in his control, he would still be president.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to see where some people have looked at other countries that had very successful responses. Places like Taiwan, with millions of, 24, 25 million people, only seven people died, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where you've had very successful people have started to research some of this, start to look into some of this stuff, and start to say, "Oh, okay, this is what's really going on." And you're starting to see people, getting a little bit educated as to what's happening. And when you get out there and you start talking crazy, and then you run into somebody who starts to lay the game down on you, and then you have to sit down and start doing some research, it might forcibly make you to take a look at some other things and begin to broaden your horizons on what you may have to say, or you might, or what you're even thinking. So I think that all that's been important, regardless whether or not you are a Trump guy or a Biden person or this person or whatever. There's information out there, there's track records, there's information, there's history. It's one of the things we talk about. When we started to talk about just the history of what's happened. In the Black community, and we start to look at its history. Can't talk about the Black community really successfully without looking at it from a historical perspective. And you have people who come in and they start talking about the community like they know, but yet they don't have a really good historical perspective on it. And then as they've become um, more knowledgeable about that, you can have a better conversation. We're seeing that as well. So, there's a lot of good things. I personally think I've seen a lot of good things going on. I mean, I know there are those who are very critical and say, "Oh, so much entertainment, this, that, and the third, this, that, and all that." Okay, we've heard all that, but yet, let's look at where the good has been, and then there is a lot of good in the entertainment as well. So you're not going to see me totally bash and break on the entertainment side of the game, because most of this is entertainment. People are entertained by this, so I have no problem with that at all. I say that consistently. Um, but there is good information being passed about, and people are learning from it. And there are those who resist it, and they'll say their things and let them say that. But as they become more edified, they start to change their somewhat of their positions, or if they want to become more recalcitrant in their position, they'll have to do that through gaining a lot more information about their positions, and that's good as well. So that's generally how I see it. We can come up with a lot of critiques, and I was very critical of some of the things I saw, but then I stepped back and have not been on a lot of panels, not been engaged in a lot of stuff. I do see I do see. I'll admit, I see a lot of good that's happening as well. I see a
Yeah.
lot of good. So
I mean,
I'm generally about it.
we're
Go
going from a good versus bad perspective. This is kind of the only place where we can speak freely because, no, ain't nobody really getting snatched up and put on XM or Sirius or TV in general from this space anyway. So, so you might as well be able to keep it most informative that you possibly can while you are here and have the opportunity to do this because they could turn around and say, you know what, these people are getting a little bit too informed around this camp, and they could just cut your cord, and then everybody gonna have to go back to what they were doing before they was able to log in and do this stuff.
ahead. Yeah, but as far as some people I've seen, we've seen, like ABL. I saw him. He was in the Manosphere, and he's out there. People can certainly, say what they may feel about his positions. and the position he takes, but he's out there on a bigger network. I've seen people like Mr. Research and so forth get on some programs. I saw he was on, I think, a Fox program or something. He was
Fox
on.
Soul.
Yeah. He was on there. And I've seen other brothers getting certainly getting mentioned. Like I certainly did see. This is a couple. What was it, a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. Obsidian and O'Shea Duke and so forth, getting mentioned, in a fairly sizable magazine, and maybe they were worried about these guys' messages or whatever, but it's out there, it got out there, where people are listening, and you'd be shocked who's listening to what you have to say. So I don't think there's anything bad about that. Nothing bad about it. So, there's been a lot of good that I've seen, and just the fact that it's getting out there and people are talking about it is good. Even if somebody's trying to say something bad about you, it's still good because it's getting out there and people are going to put more eyes and listen. And I think some brothers have become more responsible in some of the things they've said. Other people are looking to make money and get their entertainment game going, and they'll take whatever position that they want to take. Fair enough. I don't have an issue with that. And then if somebody comes in and wants to counter that message you're talking, deal with that counter. And as that counter comes through, and you have to grapple or wrestle with that, that's good as well. So I think all this is good because we didn't really have an opportunity. There was no place where you could really get this information out for years. For years, it was just like I said, the black male bashing, industrial
Totally
entertainment.
one-sided.
And you had black women and white women going in on you 24/7, literally. And we know who some of the main protagonists of this were, but there were others, all over, and we weren't really getting that out there. Now it's out there, and I have to say, brothers came in there with awesome arguments, great information, and systematically deconstructed many of these whack arguments to where we've seen what I call internet submission and so forth coming from certain groups, which I find rather entertaining. But yet at the same time, what's significant about that is that it meant that your message was resonating, and more so than anything else, and that's what I find good, and we have to keep our foot on the gas pedal in that regard, in that regard, and you have those who will try to take away from you, call you, you guys are lames, or the whole incel thing that was running a while, all that. You got to have all that going on, but it certainly has hit large part of society. For an example, I was watching this show on, very interesting at MOT. I was watching this program. I haven't finished fully watching. It was called it was a Netflix series. I don't know if anybody out there saw it. It's called Evil. I don't know if anybody saw it, and it's just an interesting kind of a program. But yet here they had the incel and the MGTOW type of guy and the red pill thinking was in this series, and I was like, holy shit, this
what?
this gone mainstream, and here it was. They had an episode on that, and this was put in there, and they actually, how would I say, they looked at it and they portrayed it in somewhat of a funky light, but yet it was out. They're putting that out there, so the whole red pill mindset and all that, larger society is seeing that, and yeah, are they threatened by it? Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are threatened by it. They are threatened by people, getting woke, if you will, and looking at things a certain way. Yeah, it's threatening. Society is worried about some of that. Because it means you ain't trying to go with the okie doke and looking at this whole COVID thing and all that's going on. You really see what the red pills are truly all about. So a lot of things are elucidating upon this society and culture that are showing, you ain't too far off the mark on much of what you've had to say, and we got to continue, expressing a lot of how we feel, and having good conversations, and at the same time with a lot of this entertainment stuff that you have going on, which is great, which is fine. There's going to be other sections of the sphere where people can get involved, where there's going to be local stuff happening for real, where people can get involved and begin to make an impact, in their communities as well. And that should be an open part of the sphere as well. So all of these interests should come in, because Black men, we're very diverse people, and we have a lot of different interests, and we're far sharper than a lot of give us credit for.
Yes, indeed. I agree, man. So, all right, let's get down to it. All right, this is a part of the interview where I ask a specific question. Do you think it's better or even plausible for people to know that it is more based on an individual practice rather than waiting on competent leadership?
Individual practice and competent leadership, they all play they all play hand in hand, almost a chicken and the egg kind of deal. But um, certainly individually getting your game together, as we talk about a lot, get your mind right and all that kind of stuff, um, is critical. And then from that perspective, you can then gauge pretty nicely as to what competent leadership is really all about. Because if you are leading yourself properly, if you're leading yourself right, you're building yourself properly, you're staying healthy, you're productive in your work, whatever that might be. You're productive there. You're productive in your general family life. Um, and you're living, and if you're doing all that and you're successful there, there's a certain level of rules and codes that you're actually living by. um, Anybody who's going to come and call himself a leader has got to be kind of operating very much in that same type of method, and have those codes in place, and can help to add on even to where you could take a look at them and say, well, this is somebody who's good at leading and doing the right things. They're going to have to be proper in that regard to be a good leader. So you have those who may come out and call themselves leaders, but they're totally full of crap. Their lives are really bullshit, and they're all screwed up in all kind of ways, but yet they're trying to lead you. Yeah, after a while, you start listening to what they say, and you find out what their real bottom line is, and you find out that they're bullshitters. So by running your life well individually, you can get to where you can look at someone and find out what is their bottom line. And if they don't really have a good bottom line to what they're doing, they want to call themselves a leader, then they're full of crap. So that's how I look at it. So you have to marshal your life individually as a general for yourself. You're the general of your life. You're the master of your fate. You're the master of your soul. Invictus, out of night that covers me. Black as a pit from pole to pole. Take whatever God may be for my incomparable soul. All of that plays into how, if you're going to move forward, what kind of person you're going to see as a good leader. So I think all that is highly relatable. If you and interchangeable, I would almost say. I don't know if you fully agree with what I'm saying, but do you follow where I'm coming from? Hello, MOT. Yeah. Hey, MOT, are you there, bro?
Sorry about that. I hit mute by mistake. I'm not sure why I hit mute, but yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, it's just that what people don't understand is you don't have to have the greatest of leadership in order for you to make individual moves that are good.
That's right.
And a lot of people are using that. Well, I didn't have the correct upbringing. I'm like, bro, listen, man, you do have a correct upbringing. It's called another chance. There's a lot of people who don't have another chance. came up with all kinds of stuff and pissed it away. Like a lot of people don't understand that you still got enough time on the clock to change and make a difference for yourself.
Yeah, you have two, maybe three chances. You have chances out here. You can always improve on your game. One of the things I did see a lot of brothers were talking about self improvement here, and many got rejected because I think some people did not. Some people who were not serious about that message, they didn't really want to go along with that. And that's a whole nother thing. I'm not going to get deep into that, but um, dealing with that is tough. But those who are really doing the right things out here, they are, you know, you've seen people who come from tough backgrounds, people who've come from definitely single mother households, people who've had come from a lot of poverty, people who've had tough circumstances, and they've done well, and they have marshaled their own forces properly, and they were able to move forward. And yes, they did have some mentors around and good people who they took examples from, but they stayed focused and pushed. Some fell off the box, had problems, got back up on, learned from that, and uh, re remarshaled their forces, and and have gotten very good results from it. So you're never done until the fat lady sings. So you always have opportunity. There's always going to be some level of opportunity out here for you to do well in. But you have to push it, and you have to see that, and the people who are self motivated and who are you know not bullshitting. They're what's their bottom line? What's your bottom line? My bottom line is to be successful as I can, and I'm going to go to certain lengths and to certain degrees in which to do that. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going to have my educational game working properly, wherever that might be. I'm not necessarily talking about a college degree or anything else like that. It could be, certain levels of certification that you're trying to get done. I want to make sure I get that done. That's going to help me get to XYZ position because I'm doing this right now, and this is helping me to move to this next position here, and I'm going to get this certification to help me to move to this next position, and then I can get a much better idea as to how I'm going to open up or open up the shop or get into this position and so forth. They have a plan, and when you consistently talk with people who are doing it, they have some level of a plan out here, and they're working towards it, and they're not bullshitting. They're on their bottom line game, and that's what you see. And I see that with very young people, kids who are coming out of school and so forth. See that, so that's what it's about. And they're not so much counting on some big leader to come through. And then if they see somebody who is a good leader, they're going to judge them based on what that individual is representing and what they've done. And that's what helps them, and everybody kind of works together in that regard. And you get very good results from that as well. But that's primarily what goes on. You have to marshal yourself. You have to marshal your own game. And we talk about that all the time. We talk about that all the time. And and those who are out here who are doing well and who have some level of success to what they're doing, they've all done this. This is nothing new. Black men have been hard working folks. So many brothers have stuck their nose to the grindstone for years, and pushed forward to find some levels of success. And it hasn't been easy for many of us because we have to finance our own businesses ourselves. Banks are not looking to throw you a lot of dough and so forth. So we've been very, very, very resourceful in how we've
Sure
um,
isn't. I know that's true.
crafted success, and that's where most of us are. That's where most of us are. So we're not strangers to this. You see these other bullshitters out here running around and scamming folks, but after a while, people see through it. Um, but real leadership is based on track record of being successful and working with those who are looking to be successful, and everyone tends to get a better result that way. So that's the game. It is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's how it goes, and it's just really not that hard or as hard as they think. It's just that they're trying to make a whole bunch of people benefit or wanting to see a great amount of respect from people once they're done. I think that's more of the problem than the actual process itself.
That's right. That's right. Process is very important. It's a process to everything. I see some of these brothers out here who have businesses. Like I said, I mentioned one brother, excavating business I talked to. See some other brothers. I was talking to another brother the other day. He's got an actuarial business, actuarial company. Um, where I saw how he started from one small level and really moved up in the actuarial game, and now he's very successful, and he's one of the few black actuarials I actually know that I actually know. But there was a process he went through, from excavating, learning the basics, and then being able to move up in the business to literally, learning not only how to excavate, but then getting the proper equipment and getting the contracts and doing that. I mean, there's a process to everything you do, and a lot of us pay a lot of dues to do that, but they've gotten successful. There is a process. It's just like, literally in the recruiting business that I'm in, there's a process to making things happen, literally from making the calls, talking with the candidate, and getting a lot of information from them to find out where your new jobs and the opportunities will be, getting a lot of information out of them and prepping them ultimately for position you may have and seeing whether they're the right person. And there's a lot of work goes into that before you get paid. You can get paid some nice bread, but there's a lot of activity that goes in. It's a whole process that has to happen. Just like also talking about, if you're dealing with a sales executive, the consultative selling process. What does that entail, and how do you train somebody to do this process properly so they can be successful in the sales business and so forth? And how do you go about that process? What does that process entail? Process to everything. And a lot of brothers certainly do understand that. And those who do not, they come up with a lot of the gangster stuff and this other crap all to try to cut corners and think you can get over. And real hardcore professionals in their work know that there's not a lot of gangsterism going on. There's a lot of learning, and there's a lot of steps and a lot of processes you have to be good at and learn to be successful. And that separates the real guys from the stone cold scamster bullshitters out here. And people know it. People say it.
Yeah, because you have to stop thinking that you need a good redemption story to be respected. If you are not respected through the proper way that everybody else does it to get there, and you feel like you need a redemption story, so that way you can sell that, so you can get people's respect. Some people's respect are not worth having at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So you really got to step back from that. Because a lot of people wait on hold. They don't move on emotionally.
Yeah.
They kind of stay under that shield because they're waiting on that respect, that attaboy, that finally I made it from a group of people who that stuff is not worth getting it from. And this is why I kind of want black men to kind of step apart from that. Because by waiting on these people's adulation, you actually keep them in power over you for a hell of a lot longer than they actually need to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, and you find a lot of people, you don't even need them. They're not giving you much anyway. You don't even need them.
Well,
You see a lot of people get a lot of respect from you see getting up in the morning and they drop their car off or wherever at the parking lot and they get on and they take the bus across town and they go to their to their given job or whatever they work at, and they're coming back and they're doing that every day and they're moving back and forth and they have a whole process about how they go about systematically, meeting their objectives. And then other opportunities will come up and so forth. And you'll see people who watch that very closely. They'll watch how you move. And then they'll say, this guy is really timely. This person really is on point. Maybe this person might be good for X, Y, and Z. Or you get into an interview process and you start talking about what your day's like. Big interview question might be, tell me about your day. What do you do? And that's a key question because they're trying to figure out how do you go about what you do? What's your process like on a daily, consistent basis? how organized. And if somebody says, well, I get up, I do this, and I boom, 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 they can go step by step by step what they're doing every day. It's like, all right, this guy's a pretty complete individual. Chance or risk, I'm going to count on this person. And maybe this person might be good for something else later on down the line that might be bigger than I'm hiring them for. So, let's go with this guy, type of thing. Process is how you go about doing things. Very important. Very important, and then try to get adulation of some Jack Boner running around who said, I did this, I slung this, I did that. They're running all over the place, shaking their life savings in your face on a live stream or something. And it's just, man, fuck that. A lot of brothers ain't going with that, man. A lot of brothers ain't going with that bullshit. A lot of dudes are going with the process-oriented guys who are getting great results. And there are quite a few out here, and I know there are quite a few out here in the chat who know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, it's just at the end of the day, man. You're going to get more out of doing it right.
That's right.
You have to share with less people whenever you also do it right.
That's right.
You don't owe nobody nothing. You ain't got to carry water for no group of people. You ain't got to hold nobody's secrets. You ain't got to hold nobody's L's. No, you ain't got to do none of that if you do it properly and correctly.
That's right. That's right. I mean, a lot of us are living this every day, in this pandemic, you're seeing a lot of people who are who've had to change some of what they were doing, and now they've had to set up different set of processes now to be successful, and you're seeing it's a process oriented game, one more again, to adjust to what we're dealing with, and you see those who are having success underneath this as well, though many are catching hell, and there's no doubt about that. I can certainly speak to that, and many of the brothers who I've talked with who are readjusting their games and doing what they need to do to try to get back, but certain things are starting to open up again, and opportunities are coming around, but yet still tough, and the process, the whole, and how they're going about processing what they do is very important. So I just want to lay that I'm talking in general terms, but that's how you have to go about doing things. I can obviously see that many can as well, and that's what we generally want to talk about, and that's what brothers are about, man. Brothers are about that. So I just want to tip my hat to a lot of you cats out there, because I always keep saying, man, I see a lot of brothers out here, I call them heroes. I really do, man, and I say it more so now than ever. What I've seen. What I've been involved with, and some of these guys out here, I can consider them heroes, man. I ain't gonna lie. So, y'all brothers out here who are on the front lines and putting it out there and making it happen and taking risks out here every day to to take care of yourselves and your families and so forth. Man, don't let anybody tell you anything different. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. Nothing different. And if they do, they're fucked up. Don't listen to them. But yeah.
No doubt. I mean, because a lot of people think it's a poverty of leadership, but it's a kind of a poverty of leadership, but it's a lack of self-development and a lack of action as well.
Yes.
It's a spectrum. It isn't one thing isn't going to solve that whole puzzle. You're going to be lacking in some area, and you're going to have to kick it up in other areas. That's what people don't get about the thing. They want to be able to give up easily, or else they fall into this self-improvement enough type of cycle, and it don't work out for them. And then they want to do the bare minimum enough to get here, and then and now they're into the bare minimum type of self-improvement loop.
We have to push each other. You're hitting it right in the head. I was talking to a brother just the other day. I've been mentoring him, and he was like, "Oh, I got this problem, and I'll get back with you." Man, listen, let's stop with a lot of this. Hey, woe is me. Let's cut this out. We got to push it. No, man, you know what you have to do? Just keep your nose to the grindstone. If you got to spend a few extra hours in that truck and do a couple of extra deliveries, to do that, put that money together, lay it out right, because over a period of time, you're going to see that whatever that little economic issue you're dealing with, you're going to get over that hump a lot faster than you think. and let's make sure we stay on top of that, and let's not keep our eyes off of the prize. That's where we can be real advantageous to one another by pushing each other as well. Positively, sometimes we push each other. I don't want to hear the bullshit. Let's move it. Let's push it. And these are things that motivate us. And we should be playing a lot more of that instead of hating on each other. And we do some of that as well, but we should be pushing each other to be better on a regular and consistent basis. And folks appreciate that when they feel like you're down, and then you start to really push them more. A lot of these cats will, at the end of the day, will say, "Well, they tell you thank you, thank you for it." And hey, I need to be pushed. MOT, you need to be. We all do. Push our game. Let's push. And that's a big thing that we should be doing. And that's a positive message that we should also consistently be pushing here in the sphere, in the Manosphere, and talking about that and motivating people by doing that, and just by them hearing that, saying, yeah, for me, I ain't gonna front. My I say this 1,000 times. I'm never gonna vary off of this. My loyalty is with the young folks. I ain't gonna lie. My loyalty is with them 14 to 34-year-old crew. That's my loyalty lies the most. I ain't gonna front. Push these guys. This is where the difference is. I want to see these young men push it the hardest. And move forward. Yeah, some of them are gonna be mouthy. Some of them are gonna say some stupid shit every now and again. It's part of life. Part of what they do. But you become wiser as you get a bit older, and you push forward. My loyalty's there. These are the guys who I'm pushing to see, who I'm looking to see do the best. Because by the time you're 50 and 60 years old, you're sitting there telling some other 22 or 23-year-old, how to make strides, mentoring them and moving them on, and the process continues to go. Yeah, that's what my loyalty is. I mean, that's my. And I'm not even gonna front with these young cats. Stay away from these old hoes. Stay away from bullshit. Stay away from the crapola that's gonna come out here and tear you out the frame. That you're not prepared for, that others are prepared to give to you. This is the kind of stuff we need to be, talking to these young cats out here, and keep them on point. Back them up, with your knowledge and at times financially as well. Especially if they're on point and they're doing the right things. This is where the game is. I'm not even going to front about it. I'm not going to front. I'm not going to yell at some young guy. Some young cat who's going to law school, a young cat who's going to grad school, whatever. He may say something stupid. He may do something stupid. You think I'm going to tear him out the frame at the end of the day? No, I'm going to try to guide him. But these are the guys who we got to push forward and can keep moving forward. These guys out here getting their licenses. I'll say your CDLs or getting your HVACs and so forth. Who young guys out here who want to make it happen. It's our duty to some degree to help to really keep their mind straight. Because there's too much out here trying to tear their ass out the frame. And the older I get, the worse I see it for those who are out there hunting for these guys to tear them out. And I ain't having it. That's how I look at it. So that's my loyalty lies. It'll always lie that until I'm fucking dead. Is what it is.
I mean, man, 'cause I see a lot of sharp kids, and I don't see the stuff that my generation or even the millennial generation is getting into. I see that stuff is kind of falling by the wayside. Finally falling by the wayside. So 25 to 30 years from now, they're not going to know what it's like to have all this gang and type of nonsense being around. It looks like it's finally on its way out of here in some areas.
Yeah. I think the Manosphere, to a large extent, has been out there and has addressed a lot of this with some of these young guys. And have people made mistakes? Yes. Have things gone awry on occasion? Yes. Have there been some fucksters coming through here talking shit and guiding people in the wrong directions where they become Lord of the Flies and so forth? We've seen some of that. But those people too have gotten a lot of critique, and folks have come at them hard and have critiqued them savagely, and they should have been, because of some of the tremendous gaps in their leadership that they've run with, and then there are those who've stepped off from them and have moved into other directions and have started to gain some consciousness that way themselves, and I thoroughly approve of that as well. So these young cats who've done this, yes, I approve of that. And these old guys out here talking crazy and throwing you the wrong way, tear their heads out the frame, and move forward. That's going to keep you in a positive direction. Don't get scammed out here. I know bullshit. There's too much of that flying around. You can't be having that. So, be critical of everything you see, but develop a critical mind, as well. You don't have to go to university or get a PhD to get one. You can just observe and then read a little. Definitely we should be reading more, picking up more information. Be your own leader, and then you can see those who are good at potentially, who can be good leaders as well. You can begin to judge that, and how you judge that by the people they have around them to a large extent. And see who's really rolling with them, and who's next to them, who's with them. If they're a bunch of clowns and miscreants talking out the sides of their ass, they ain't shit. But if they're smart, and they got a lot of smart people around them who are doing the right things, then that's good. These things you start to pick up as time goes on. But let these young guys out here make their moves. Like I said, my loyalty is with them. Period. And that's how it's always going to be. I've been saying that for years, and that's never going to change.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. So, want to wrap it up, man. So what do you see about the future in this thing?
I think the future is exactly where it needs to be. Let's keep pushing and moving forward, and just consistently have new brothers stepping up to the plate with new with newer ideas, new channels, new guys stepping up, new conversation coming through, consistently adding to the base. The more brothers in here talking about a lot of stuff, the better it is. Um, um, that's really how I really see that, and I would prefer, of course, my view is if you're going to be out here, you're going to really talk, be knowledgeable of what you're talking about, have good information, consistently have good information about what you're talking about, and I think that serves people better. And those who don't have good information should get critiqued savagely, and that's just a part of the game. If you're off your shit and somebody tears you out the frame because you're off it, well, maybe you should have been more on top of your shit. That's part of that's part of the check game out here. It's checked, but more and more cats just keep pouring into the space. You know what I mean? And and develop a critical mind, develop some critical thinking based on good information and facts, as opposed to innuendo and how would I say conspiracy. Let's get real facts together and start to think in that way progressively. When I mean progressive, no, not from a progressive position. I'm saying, you're progressing to more and more and more knowledge, and you're getting wiser. So that's life, the game of life. But that's a large part of what we should be doing. And the older guys out here should be, from my perspective, giving some level of guidance there. Um, the bullshitters have to be seen for what they are and called out. But those who are giving good guidance, should be listened to, and if they need to be critiqued, critique them as well. It's good to do that, and constantly grow. That's it. But that's what I have to say. A lot of people are hypercritical. I'm not going to be hypercritical about it. I'm not. I think all of what we do out here right now is good.
All right, cool.
You want to bring anybody up?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll put the link out in the chat. So if y'all want to come up here and chat with Nagone 11 or got some questions for me, y'all can be able to come up. We're going to be up here for a little while. Then we got to get up out of here, man. So I'll put the link in the chat right now. Yeah, let's do. Hold on a second. There you go. Links in the chat for those who want to come up. Or have something to say specifically on the topic, or want to ask Nagone a question. And if not, we're gonna get up out of here. So.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, MOT, where do you see this thing going, fam?
I mean, me personally, I think that given how the technology is kind of updating every 2 years, I think that somebody's just gonna split off and have their own media conglomerate out of this thing, kind of independent, not needing anybody's help.
Yeah. Yeah. The technology certainly is advancing. So, this is a tech-driven game. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can have your own kind of Facebook kind of chat room on your website now. You can have your own version of Super Chat in the chat on your website now. So these things were even impossible 6 years ago. It was a tough idea. But now, I mean, things are just going to keep getting better and better. Well, people are just going to start leaving this space alone, putting up clips and getting up out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they've been saying it, but, still here, man. It's still here.
Yeah.
Still here, people.
Yeah, but, once everybody critical thinking starts to come online, a lot of these people are going to start losing their credibility out here.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, that's for sure. But that's just a natural way of things. That's why I say to think more critically, because that's just that's the natural way of things. As people start to think more critically, get better information, they're gonna see what's going on. More so. They're gonna get a better idea, and they're gonna demand more. They're not gonna want to listen to some of the stuff that they see. They're gonna start seeing certain things, and that's always a good thing. Always a good thing. You know. And that's just accessing more information. I'm not talking about conspiracy theories, but real info. There are guys out here who were starting to do it. I'm listening to some of these cats, and some of them are starting to pick it up. So I do like some of that. I certainly do. The game has changed a lot. I mean, I remember when back from 2015, before, I think the technology has played a huge part in changing a lot of stuff. I keep going back to the super chats and some, and what was first the hangouts and then, the live streams. That's changed this game a lot. It's changed a lot, and the money that's come in and the eyes and all. It's back in the day, having 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers was huge. Today that's nothing. So this thing is growing. It's going to consistently grow. Who's that? Who came in?
I don't know. I don't know. It's not worth risking finding out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just at the end of the day, this is just where we are, and if the stuff is just going to keep progressing in the direction that it should be progressing. So, if anybody else want to come up, come on, man. Nagone, I want to thank you for coming by, man. So that way
yeah, man. It's good to rap. Like I said, it's good to rap out here. We get into it sometimes. Some of these other cats out here, but it's all good. We get a little spirited. We go in, but well, anything more than anything else, I definitely want people to come on if they're going to talk, be knowledgeable, have some decent knowledge of what you're talking about, have a decent background as to what you're into. At least just talk and let's be sensible from that perspective. Get good information, some decent information, and then expound from there. I think that's you get the best results that way. I think. Because a lot of people sometimes come in, they don't know what they're talking about, and they just start rapping, and then next thing you know, you're hearing craziness. So, you know how that goes.
Yeah, it's the way that things. It always kind of works that way. It's not risking bringing somebody up here with a female name and end up cracking out and saying some stupid ass shit. So just don't even. I'm not even going down the goddamn road.
Yeah, how many people you have in the chat right now?
50, 157 at some point.
All
We're at
right.
50 right now. So yeah, man. So that's just where we at, man. And I don't have a problem with it. It's always going to be a small force of people who wants to move forward anyway. Like I
Yeah.
said, if I was talking about some nonsense, there'd be 250 people in here. You know that. But
Hey, man, but
this
that's
is where
good
we
too.
at.
I, I think that's good as well. I'm sorry. I
Oh
think that's,
yeah, no doubt, no
yeah,
doubt.
yeah. I think that's good as well, man. So,
I
you know,
highly suggest you watch that um Platinum Elite video. I highly suggest you watch that if you
all
haven't.
right, I will do that.
Yeah, highly suggest.
I will. I will do that. All right, MOT man. If anything else, man, I'm done, brother.
All right, cool. So if anybody else got any questions from the chat, if y'all don't have any, we're gonna be able to shut down the stream as of right now. So we'll wait like a minute. If not, we'll just get up out of here, man. I'll probably get over to Zero or Mike V or Game Changer or somebody else next. It's just bring them on for some one-on-ones.
Yeah,
Kind of, they'll kind of do that. 'Cause, I'm not really burned out, but it's just that I just don't want to do the other stuff anymore. It's clearly the market has changed and they want something else. So let them. I have 600 some videos up and live. So if you can't get it through that, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to get it. I can keep repeating the same information, but if
agreed.
y'all don't want it, y'all don't want it, y'all want it, man. I can't make people I can't make people make no progress, man.
Hey, man. But there are a lot of people on their grind as well. So I ain't gonna front. Their brothers on their grind. So
Oh,
I
no
know.
doubt, man. Because here's the thing, man. The dudes who are actually doing the stuff, you never see them. You never see them talk. They be there doing their thing, whether they're working out or working at night. That's it. They're out of there, man. They don't even they don't even want to be up and involved, man. They think that, hey, I'm just gonna sit here. Things are gonna be cool. What's going on, Zero? Yeah,
Hey,
yeah, man. That went fast, man. An hour and a half was really, 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 really fast.
what's
So,
up, Zero? Man, what's up, baby? Yeah. So totally agree, man. I mean, it's just hey, man. Look, we're about moving forward. There's one young brother who I haven't seen in a while. I know he must be around. I haven't seen him around. Dr. Phoenix, man. That was one cat. Because when we start getting these brain trust videos, streams going again, we'll see him around. But yeah, you got cats like that, man. They on the grind. They're out there, going,
yeah, man.
getting, putting in their work, and I pray getting great results and push forward. That's what a lot of us are about. A lot of us are about that. And what I don't what I really hate is the fact that we're represented as people who are not this way, and just don't like that, man, because it's not a fair representation of what the real truth is.
No, I mean, this is just where we at right now. It's just that this thing didn't evolve to the point to where it's the practicing time, it's the organizing time, it's the doing time.
Yeah.
We can't sit here and talk about this stuff forever. You got to make some type of moves on your own outside of all this talk. What's going on, NC1? Yeah.
Yeah, you're so right. It's kind of funny. Uh, it, all right, this young lady here in my area, she became a city court judge. Some district leader, we went to her. I've done some fundraisers, and she's got her signs out on my lawn and all that. And Black African sister, very very progressive, very intelligent in her game. And there was another sister as well, American sister, very sharp, very sharp, very sharp. Um, and we got them on the city court. We got them on the city court, and they ran a white dude in there who was a Democrat and a Republican. Listen, that Democrat and Republican, one of the city court. They had a couple of open spots, and they really tried to run some white people in. It's by the Democratic Party now to try to knock them out of the box so they didn't get in. or at least only one we get into. Well, we can't have too many black people on the bench. But yet,
Yeah.
why they didn't want them on the bench was because of their positions, and their positions were very pro our community. You know, very much about intervention, and if you have drug problems, drug intervention, and so forth. Not throwing a whole lot of people in jail and tearing folks out the frame and doing all of that. So their positions were pretty progressive. That were really favorable to our community. Not letting criminals walk around and other crazies run around, but yet deal with your community with some level of compassion. And one of them was an African woman named Shako. And husband was a wonderful guy, and he got about 4 or 5 signs in my lawn, and I still haven't taken them off. And I'll leave them up there for a while. We want to talk about making progress, and we want to talk about doing certain things for our community, and doing that. We have to have people. We have to make judges. We have to have our town council people come through. We have to work at the local levels to make things happen for us that we want to have. Start at the local level. So I've got 2 judges. They both sisters. We got a brother in there as well, but 2 sharp sisters who kind of down for the cause, and they are judges, my man. That means when you go to a courtroom and you get in front of these people, they're gonna do all right. This is white. They put a white boy in there, and he ended up getting only 13,000 votes, and they both got 29,000 prospectively, and they're making history here. It's because of what we're doing on the local level to support our people getting in to key positions that are going to help our community and help us out. This is at the local level. Forget about the Biden and everybody else like that. That's if you go Biden or Trump or whoever you're down with. If you're not impacting at your local level, you're not going to affect some of these changes you might want, and they should have your interests at heart. If you're going to support them, they have to have your interests out there.
That's why I say a lot of these local Republicans you can work with.
You
Definitely
you,
can work with.
you can, but I saw how the Democratic Party is supposed to be the black,
Oh yeah.
and here they are trying to keep you off the bench. Trying to keep you off the bench. So we have to be very realistic of how we look at things, and as I say, ethnic politics supersedes the party label game. But we have to play a game of being very deeply involved in what's happening with us locally as well as on the national level. And we talk about that here in the Manosphere a lot, and you hear a lot of that type of talk. But for those who are really getting locally involved, this is an example of how this stuff really works. So you should have judges that have your interests. You don't have that. You go to a courtroom and you see this sister up here, this brother up here. You should have your interests. Not to say they're going to give you a break just because you're black, and you're a fucked up criminal. But if you are certainly someone who they can work with, you should get that, because Lord knows, on the opposite side with these white people walking around, they get all the breaks in the world. All the breaks in the world. They're not trying to ruin their lives, but you get up in front of it, they're trying to ruin yours. So we want people out here who are going to be just and work with us, and that starts locally. And that doesn't start from the presidential. It starts literally from your town council, your city courts, your family courts, and so forth. You have to be in that game. You have to be there. You have to be supporting. You have to be supporting that. You have to be supporting these people, and they have to know that if I'm going to give you my support, this is what we're looking for. And that starts locally, individually, damn near. You want to put your sign, you want to get my $1,000, and you want to, put your signs on my lawn in front of my house and all that. You want to do that, we can do that. Okay, with others, we're going to help support you. We're going to help to get. But what are you going to do for us to make sure that you are looking out for us, and we want X, Y, Z from you? This is what we expect. And they're like, you're going to get it, and that's it. That's it. Just hammering these guys on cash bail all over the place and tearing folks out of the frame. No, nah, man, fuck that. That's feeding the system, and it's tearing a lot of people out of the frame who don't have a lot of money. We know that. Got to deal with that a little differently. What's
So
your
they
position?
should get rid of the cash bail system altogether. It serves no purpose.
I mean, it's a system that's designed to empower. That's against you. You know, that's against you per se. Yeah, you know, you get some white folks that way. Yeah, you get some. That's designed to hem your ass up. You know, that's city court, criminal court, and so forth. You want to have people who are on your side. You want to have people who are on your side. Judges are very important. You want one or two of them in your pockets. You want judges. You want council persons. You want your congressman. We just got Bowman elected. A lot of Jewish money went there, a lot of black money went in there, and he's supposed to have our interests. Well, if you don't have our interests, bro, next time around, 2 years from now, your ass is finished. So, that's the game we got to be playing. So, I just
As
dropped that
long as
out.
you got a track record of letting them know that your ass is gonna be out. Let's see,
Yeah,
we want all this stuff, but then we don't participate. I'm like, dude, if anybody who should be showing up 100% of the time is us. We
right.
face the consequences of us not having a representation
That's
every
exactly,
single time.
that's exactly right. And then you got poor representation, and then you get poor results whenever you come up in the system. There's a reason for that. So we need to understand that for a lot of us men who want better results for our rights and our interests, can't do that just from sitting on some forum somewhere. You have to put in some groundwork. And I just want to just want to say that. I think that needs to be said as well.
Yeah. All right, man. So, Donald, I want to thank you for coming through. I want to thank everybody for showing up here. Uh, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I want to thank y'all for coming through. I'm the man tomorrow. You guys have a really nice day. Peace.
Peace.